It's good to record an L, isn't it clear?
What?
So did you have that part of the text?
Yes. Hold on. Let me just do the thing so it records and displays properly. Right. It's doing this infinity thing again. So.
So this is about the divorce
Yes.
aspect.
Let me just do this little thing, and hold on. Right. It's on. It's displayed properly now, and I wanted to go to chapter 4, verse 34, which I closed down accidentally. Corpus Quran. No, this is divorce one, is it? Al Talaq. We wanted to read the divorce one.
This is from the male perspective, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to chapter 65, verse 1.
As I can remember, the man just says 4 times a verse, and the woman has to wait like for 3 months to be divorced.
3 months.
There are 11 verses. It's all subject to interpretation. Shall I read them all out, or I don't know what do you want me to do?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so the first one. O Prophet, when you Muslims divorce women, divorce them for the commencement of their waiting period, and keep count of the waiting period, and fear Allah, your Lord. Do not turn them out of their husbands' houses, nor should they themselves leave during that period, unless they are committing a clear immorality. And those are the limits set by Allah, and whoever transgresses the limits of Allah has certainly wronged himself. You know not, perhaps Allah will bring about after that.
Let me ask you something. Why ought any of us here follow that passage? What is the moral significance of that passage?
It's just saying, don't just kick her out. There is a waiting period.
No, I'm asking you why.
Why
not what it means, not what the passage entails. What's your justification? What is your reason? Why ought we follow anything that the Quran says?
Because it's the best available guide to humanity. I know you disagree.
How did you determine that? How did you determine that's the best possible guide to humanity?
Because I can't think of a better guide. Because I can't think of a better guide.
What's the standard for best available guide to humanity?
Answer that?
Because I can't think of anything better.
Just because you can't think of anything better does not entail that the Quran is the best available guide. You have an argument from incredulity.
Okay, I mean, that's my answer. If you can think of a better
an
guide,
argument from ignorance.
please tell me and I'll have a look at your book.
No, I don't need to tell you. You're the one making the positive claim
Yeah, I
that
am
the
making
Quran is the
the
best
positive
available
claim.
guide.
And it's only my opinion.
You've shown no reason as to why that's the case.
I'm saying that it has something for everyone. Male and female, young and old, rich and poor, majority and minority.
So does the Communist Manifesto, so does Mein Kampf, so does the Constitution of the United States.
I happen to think it's better than Mein Kampf and the Communist Manifesto,
everything
etc.
for everyone. So what? That's not a point.
Yeah, I've told you, it's only my opinion. You clearly don't agree, so come up with a better guide.
I don't need to come up with a better guide. You need to show that's the best available guide.
Well, I've told you
You're
it's my
shifting the
opinion.
burden of proof.
Well,
No, this is what you people do. You always shift the burden of proof onto other people.
You hate it, but you still can't think of anything better. So, what's your point?
I don't hate it. I'm asking you why you think it's the best available guide to humanity.
You keep asking the same question. The answer is still the same. The answer is still the same. I can't think of anything better. I'm sorry you don't think it's a good enough answer, but you can't think of anything better, so I guess I win.
Oh, I can
No,
think of
no.
anything, but
Just remember, Claire declared
I
like
don't have to. I don't have to take
before.
that
He just
position.
saying it
She's taking the
because he
positive
likes
point
that. That's
that the
all.
Quran is the best available guide to humanity. And when I asked her, "Can you give an argument for that?" It's just, I don't know. I can't think of a better
Yeah,
guide.
well, it's
That is
Yeah,
true.
but
It's
she
true. I
clearly
can't.
says
that's
that it's because
fallacious.
she likes it. There is no other reason behind it.
Yeah,
Okay.
You
I've
find you
already
say
said it
you
before.
say
Then
that you
then if the argument is just because she likes it, then no one here has any reason to believe that anything she says
You don't have to believe it.
no,
You
that's
don't
is
have
fine.
to
immoral
agree with
or
me. All you have to do is find
is
something better.
unwarranted.
Find something better.
According to no, but now you're going to standards again. As long as you say, and you said it before, you don't have reasons for it. You just like it. Even if
I've
we
told you because
like
it's got something for
before
everyone, rich and poor,
before we
young and old,
just like
male
prove
and
to you that
female,
it's not from
majority and
God,
minority. I
but you
think the
still
rules
said
are
I
fair
believe it.
enough. You have nothing more to say other than you don't agree, but you still can't think of a better guide. And so,
So Claire, let me
shall
ask you
we
a
move
question
on?
then. Shall I ask you a question then? So we were
Of
talking
course, she
about
wants to move on. She doesn't want to defend her claims
The
at
answer
any
is the
time.
same.
She
But
she always
actually,
does this. She
Carlos
evades.
had an answer, but you've just come here to disrupt. We were going to look at divorce, but you don't want to do that. You want to disrupt the conversation. Carlos, what?
all right, so let me bring it back to the divorce thing. So we established that there's differences for men and women when it comes to divorce. So with women, you need to go and see a lawyer. With a man, you can utter some words
No,
over a
no.
period
Both
of
have to
time.
see a lawyer.
There's
Both have to see the lawyer. Both have to see the lawyer. You don't divorce without because there is a waiting period. Keep count of the waiting period. It's a very legalistic term. What waiting period? When waiting period? You know, so
so what value does the act of, is it talak? Is that the word you say? Is it
talak, yes.
what's the benefit of having that then if you can just go and do it through a lawyer?
Because what we're talking about Sharia is that the law of the Quran will be the law of the land. So what we're doing is exploring what the law of the land would be like under these conditions. That's what we're doing, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think what I'm trying to do is to see if there's a superior method to what's already written in the Quran. So if there's
Have you
differences
been
between
divorced?
never, no,
Are you married?
no.
Okay, so you would know. Maybe talk to your friends who've been divorced, and then they can tell you whether they think the rules are fair enough, right? I mean,
Yeah,
if
it
you
just
prefer
seems
no
to
fault
me.
divorce, maybe. I don't think. Okay, as a bachelor, I don't think your view on marriage you know, would be considered seriously because I guess married men will say, well, you don't know anything about what it is to you know have to live with a woman
But
and
I mean,
They don't know
going
what
back.
it's like doesn't mean they don't know what it is like. You're conflating again.
I would like
Yeah.
to what's your next question, Carlos?
So going back to this talak thing, what is the benefit of having that if you can just go to a lawyer and get it done? I didn't quite
No,
get the answer on
I'm saying that under secular Koranism, this would be the law of the land. So if you want to divorce your wife, you'd have to go through this procedure. Because
that. Right.
that's the whole idea of secular Koranism. These rules would become
So
law.
saying talak would be irrelevant then under secular Koranism.
I don't know what you mean by that. You don't just kick your wife out of your house. There is a procedure, and we're going to be reading the verses to discover what it is. So it's saying you can't just kick her out. There is a waiting period. That's what the
But
verse that
it's
I've just read says.
yeah, no, I understand that. But in terms of divorce, what you're saying is a man can say talak 3 times, but
No,
he
but
still
we
needs
haven't
to
even
go
got to
to
that bit
a lot
yet. We haven't
to
even got to that bit yet. Are we going to get to
okay,
that bit?
let's get to it. Yeah, let's do it.
I mean, there's only 11 verses. So are we going to
Sure,
go through one by one? Okay.
sure. Yeah, go for it.
So the next one, verse 2. And when they have nearly fulfilled their term, either retain them according to acceptable terms or part with them according to acceptable terms, and bring to witness 2 just men from among you, and establish the testimony for the acceptance of Allah. This is instructed to whoever should believe in Allah in the last day, and whoever fears Allah, He will make for him a way out. So, I guess it means that you either agree terms or renegotiate your marriage, or divorce them. You can renegotiate the terms of the marriage in this waiting period that was talked about in the last verse,
Okay.
right? And you know, obviously think, oh, you know, things are not going well, my darling, what's wrong? And, you know, I don't know, she wants, you know, whatever it is that's wrong. And you can, you know, maybe you come to an agreement, and you both agree, and then you change it, you vary the terms of the contract, right? Or you can't agree, and then you divorce. So this is what verse 2 is about. Let's go to chapter 3, verse 3.
Mhm.
And will provide for him where he does not expect. And whoever relies upon Allah, then He is sufficient for him. Indeed, Allah will accomplish His purpose. Allah has already set for everything a decreed extent. So it is
Right.
just saying, oh, you know, everything will be all right. Verse
Mhm.
4,
Yeah.
and this one might be a bit. This is all about, you know, not kicking your wife out when she's still pregnant with your kid, kind of thing. So it says,
Okay.
and those who no longer expect menstruation from among your women, if in doubt, then their period is 3 months. And also for those who have not menstruated, and for those who are pregnant, their term is until they give birth. And whoever fears Allah, He will make for him of his matter ease. So, what little I know of Islamic divorce law is that the wife gets the children up to the age of 7, and then the kids go back to the husband. Okay, that's what I believe they do. Because obviously the husband won't know what to do with the kids if they're under 7, but after they are, you know, of the age of reason, he can look after them, and then she's free to marry again. Verse 5, this is a command of Allah which He has sent down to you, and whoever fears Allah, He will remove for him his misdeeds, and make great for him his reward. Okay, it doesn't really mean anything in legal terms. Let's go to verse 6. Lodge them in a section of where you dwell out of your means, and do not harm them in order to oppress them. So you have to find a place for them to live. And if they should be pregnant, then spend on them until they give birth. And if they breastfeed for you, then give them their payment and confer among yourselves in the acceptable way. But if you are in discord, then there may breastfeed for the father another woman. So I guess a father can hire a wet nurse after the wife says, I'm off, and leaves the baby with him. And obviously you're not supposed to kick your wife out when she's pregnant. And it does say, do not harm them in order to oppress them. So that sounds fair enough. Verse 7.
Mhm.
let a man of wealth spend from his wealth, and he whose provision is restricted, let him spend from what Allah has given him. Allah does not charge a soul except according to what he has given it. Allah will bring about after hardship ease. So, in other words, one of those comforting verses. And verse 8, and how many a city was insolent toward the command of its Lord and his messengers. So we took it to severe account and punished it with a terrible punishment. Nothing to do with divorce, chapter 9. And it tasted the bad consequence of its affair, and the outcome of its affair was loss, no legal significance, verse 10. Allah has prepared for them a severe punishment, so fear Allah. O you of understanding who have believed, Allah has sent down to you the Quran. Okay, verse 11. Doesn't seem to be saying anything about divorce anymore.
So it's more the first half of that then.
Yeah, okay, and the final one is verse 12, so let's go to the last one. Oh, that's it. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah. Only 12 verses in the chapter on divorce.
So there's nothing in there about talaq. Is that in the hadith then, is it?
Yeah, it must be in the hadith.
Which you don't
I guess,
necessarily follow.
Yeah. I mean, really, people will just make stuff up, and you can imagine, a male-dominated society making all kinds of stuff up at the expense of the woman. But, these are the original verses, and the most important provisions is that don't kick your wife out while she's pregnant. And, there will be a waiting period in case you want to change your mind about your divorce. And during that time, you could renegotiate the terms of your contract and vary the contract. And either, stay together if you can do it, or leave the marriage if you can't. So that sounds fair enough to me.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, there's nothing major in there from what you've read in terms of interpretation, or how you could interpret it. But you said that obviously you accept the fact that this could have been written by man. If it could be written by man, then I don't know why you think there's nothing better that could be written. Because it could have a smarter man come along and write something better.
Well,
or come up with a better rule.
I really don't think, in these matters, you have time to create for yourself a new religion. I mean, I'm assuming that people want to fix a problem as soon as possible, and, rather than piecemeal changes in the law, you just say, right, we've done the wrong thing. We've got a book that just tells us how to do everything right. It seems fair enough, and so we'll do it in one go. So everything is fixed ASAP.
I mean, I'm not talking about establishing a new religion. I'm just talking about establishing laws and a way for us to live. And you're saying that the rules that are in the Quran are superior to anything that we can come up with in a secular society, and I just don't understand that.
Well,
especially given the fact that you think that there's a possibility that the Quran itself could be written by mere mortal men.
Well, I think we need to ask divorced men, right? I mean, the only people who have a view on these things would be divorced men, and I think people who support the institution of marriage would say no fault divorce is making it people casually marry and casually divorce each other, thinking it's all right, and really. People should think of marriage as something, quite serious, changing their legal status and giving them responsibilities and rearing the next generation, and they should, treat it with more respect than just a sort of form of dating.
I just feel like if you feel this Quranic scripture is superior to any secular rules that we can ever come up with, if we go back to Surah 4, verse 34, where it talks about beating your wife, you'd effectively be saying that you'd want to introduce a law where men are permitted to beat their wives, nothing saying about wives beating their men, and that this would be a superior way of living than anything that a secular society could come up with. I just don't understand that.
I suppose you don't understand that because you're not married and you haven't been divorced. I mean, I've met a few, divorced men, and the thing is, men don't marry anymore because they think it's stupid for them to marry. It's MGTOW, and why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free, and these little quips that they would make about, well, I would be a fool to marry. Marriages, buying a house and giving it to a woman you hate, stuff like that. So there are lots of.
Well, I'm not really talking. Go on.
I'm just saying that if women want to become married mothers, they need to make marriage appear to be a better bargain for men, or men will just not marry. Particularly when they get so many marriage substitutes. That it's okay now to live in sin, cohabit, be gay. So women will find it very difficult to find marriageable men to marry them.
Yeah, but I mean, I was talking more about having a situation where men are permitted to beat their wives and it becomes law.
Well, I've explained to you the procedure that I had in mind. So, men are not permitted just to, lash out at their wife the moment she looks at them funny. It is a kind of procedure, a very legally phased procedure that I would say is analogous to, I don't know, a verbal warning, a written warning, and a final warning. I mean, think of it in those terms.
Yeah, I mean, the scripture quite clearly says there's stages to it. You can't just go straight to the third stage. There's stages to it. It's just the fact that it actually prescribes that as a way of living, and you would find that superior to anything secular we could come up with it in a secular society. It's just
But we
even if I
haven't
didn't
come
have
up with
anything now.
anything like that. We haven't come up with anything like that. And fewer people are marrying, and more disturbed
How about we
children.
don't beat each other?
Well, I would argue that maybe all this is necessary to make the man feel in control, because and then you think, oh well, if she's like this, then I can do that. But rather than, oh, I don't know what I'm marrying, and she could just turn nasty after she's got the ring on her finger, and I'm trapped, and then if I don't like it, she's going to take half my stuff. So I'd rather not marry then, and then condemning a lot of women to becoming unmarried mothers. Bringing up, fatherless children in, homes that maybe traumatize them,
Interesting. I don't know if anyone else wants to come in.
Gosh, there's quite a few people. Thanks for coming. And we've got some Muslim person called Comrade Munir Al-Kurdi. Hello, Comrade Munir. And a few new faces. Welcome.
Hello. How is everyone doing?
Good, man. Good. Just having a chat. Talking about secular society versus the rules of the Quran, and which is more superior. You said earlier, what were you saying earlier, Claire, about what you found disagreeable about secular societies, in terms of like what one of the most disagreeable rules that secularism has?
I think I might have said something about gay marriage and transgenderism, and I'm thinking, as somebody who's really a political philosopher, interested in nationalism, in the sense that I want to define it as government in the national interest. I think it's in the national interest to have a functioning moral system, so that any country would have shared values and people would know what the law is and kind of agree that they're fair enough. And I think that would be the first stage to having a not dysfunctional society where most people think the laws are fair enough, which is also sustainable in that it produces the next generation and they are not too damaged by being in
But
fatherless
you
homes.
think you think that if two people love each other and are happy together, but happen to be of the same sex, you consider that dysfunctional?
No, not everybody will get married. So, secular Koranism doesn't criminalise them. I mean, obviously, there will be people of the same sex who will be sharing homes with each other. Secular Koranism is not about, installing bedroom police to criminalise people like that. I mean, to the extent that it talks about punishing LGBT people, it would be for public decency rules, for public decency reasons. If, they're caught cottaging, for example, which would come under, public decency laws, then anything else that you do in the privacy of your own home, nobody's going to come for you.
But you obviously place a lot of weight on marriage itself. You see it as an important bond that, obviously two people that love each other want to cement that with marriage. You obviously place a lot of weight on that, but you wouldn't grant that to a couple of the same sex.
Yeah, because they don't, they're not going into this relationship in order to have children, and it is parents who have the greater responsibility of rearing the next generation. I mean, it's a much bigger responsibility. I think you should give these people who rear the next generation greater respect than people who are just living together.
People get married for all sorts of reasons, right?
Well, the real purpose of marriage is for legitimate children.
Yeah, I mean that might be your view of it, but as I say, most people get married for all sorts of reasons. Maybe another one just because they love each other and they want to cement that.
Sure, but people can love each other without marrying each other, right? I mean,
of course,
you can have all kinds
have
of
children
love.
without marrying each other.
Pardon?
You don't have to get married. You can have children without being married.
Yeah, but then I'm also saying that should be treated as a sexual offence under chapter 24, verse 2. 100 lashes.
100 lashes.
Yes, per illegitimate offspring, rather than each, act of unmarried sexual intercourse. So I'm already very easy on people.
You'd advocate for lashes if someone, if a couple that hadn't got married had children together.
Yeah, I mean, it's really for the crime of having offspring without a marriage certificate.
Wow.
But that's what it says.
Yeah, no, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm just trying to process it.
I have to follow it. I mean, people will say, "Oh, but that's horrible. Don't use that one." I said, I can't, because I have to at least say that I'm going to follow it. Rather than say, "Oh, I don't like that one. I'm going to leave it out." Then it wouldn't be secular Koranism. It would be, Claire's favourite verses in the Quran-ism.
Yeah. So, Claire, did you buy a flight ticket to Afghanistan yet?
No. Because
This will be
what's
this will be a
Afghanistan got to do
wonderful
with it?
country ruled by the Quran.
No,
Since
because
you're the best thing.
the reason why you're going to say, why don't you take yourself off to some shithole Muslim country? And I'm saying,
What do you mean by shithole?
That's what you're saying, isn't it?
Quran
You're just
is for
working
everybody, from
your way up to
poor
saying,
and for rich, like you said.
I'm
It's
just
like
anticipating
secular
what you're going to
conditions.
say. Well, just fuck off to your shithole Muslim country.
No, I didn't
I'm
say
saying,
that.
Well,
I think
that was the
I'm just
implication.
listening to you.
That was the implication.
I'm just listening to you.
Yeah, but you see, my
just
point
listening
is
to
not
you,
about
and you are
fucking
dreaming
off.
of that, and I
That's
think
not,
this
my
would be
point
the
is not
country.
about fucking off to some shithole Muslim country. I'm talking about solving the problems of the West. I mean, clearly they don't affect you. So,
Problem of the West? I think they're only problem of the East. So I think here are no problems.
right. So Germany's all right. Things are perfectly all right. Germans are
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah, most of people. Like you never.
No insecurity, huh? No populism, no chaos, no instability.
It's a pretty nice, like the best country in Europe to live. Maybe except Scandinavia, because
You didn't answer my question.
so there is always something from something in it, right? Because that's the point of the whole state. It allows everybody to live nearly, yeah, like he wants to. So not all people are the same. There are anarchists, populists,
The state wants that, yeah.
different politics views, different religions,
I
different.
made something.
Once again,
You're not answering my question, bro.
I think I did. So
So wait, the state tolerates anarchists.
yes,
Why would it do that?
because anarchists are just a political view. I mean, I was also an anarchist in Germany at some point, and I wasn't arrested for that.
And were you a threat to the state?
A threat to the state? No, of course not. I was just like a
Then you
woman.
weren't an anarchist, bro.
I wasn't a problem. I grew up out of that, right? I'm not a problem now.
Okay. But I mean, actual anarchists would be, right?
It's just a political vision. And the funny stuff, they don't want the state, but when you ask them how it should like, they will have some kind of state. They just don't realize it.
Well, I mean, they want to destroy the state, right? So
Yeah,
you know,
but after what's the goal, right? They will destroy the state, and then you have to ask yourself,
Okay, fine.
that's only the 50% of the way, right? But after what happens after that, they will make a society with rules. So you have again a state. So it's completely bogus.
I mean, it depends how you define state, but you know, regardless, it would still be a threat to the current state, right? So you know, if they were a serious
they are
threat,
not. Yeah,
the
but they
state
are
would
not.
repress them. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They're not. But if they were, the state would repress them, right?
And why they are not a threat to the state? Because the most people are very lucky to live in Germany. That's why you don't have so many anarchists. But they are not.
You have right-wing fascists, don't you?
Yes,
Islamophobes, neo-Nazis.
you will find all of them.
But it's on the rise in Europe over the